All right. 3, 2, 1.
We do a clap. I mean,
But okay, don't I? When do I say my one? I'll cut it up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is how we do. We get lifted up so we can lift y'all up. That's a fact, man. Shout out to you, man.
Hey everybody, this is your good brother Sean Ingram. Today on Behind the Business, we are with Mr. James Shaughnessy, who's running for mayor of Raleigh in 2024. So James, first and foremost, thank you on being on Behind the Business with me, Sean Ingram. We're just gonna really get into it, man. I do gotta say this, first I was introduced to James by a cousin of mine, Great. So Great, thank you for introducing me to James. And I wanna say this for a lot of other people I've interviewed through the years. A little bit of sarcasm, if you would say, James. We talked about sarcasm earlier. So when I came to James' house to interview him, James had breakfast made, and we had good breakfast and cooked breakfast. So I just want to say thank you for that. Also,
yeah, denied the coffee though. So.
Yeah, I denied the coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but the water was great. I appreciate the water. So James, like I said earlier, man, we're just gonna get into it, and I only have 4 questions, and we'll break them up as we go along, and I definitely want you to speak as freely and as honestly and as comfortably as you would like. And I'll ask you all 4 questions right now. And then, like you said, we can kind of bounce around. My first question is, introducing yourself, and then what is your why? Why, right? Why am I running for mayor? Then, why James? Why should James Shaughnessy be mayor of Raleigh? My third question is going to be, when you're thinking about Raleigh, what are the problems? What problems concern you? What problems did you see to say, hey, you know what, I know I can make a change? And then the 4th question is truthfully going to be, what solutions do you think could solve some of the problems and help Raleigh be a more thriving city, a better city, a safer city, or, a growing city, as we continue to be? So those are 4 questions in a nutshell. So you can start off by introducing yourself to the world. World, this is James. James, welcome to the world.
Hello, I'm James Shaughnessy the 4th. Shaughnessy's so good we decided to make 4 of them, kind of.
I noticed that.
I was born and raised here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's been an absolute privilege. I think it is the best city in the world. I feel like I can say that because I've been to about half of the states and 13 countries around the world, and they do things pretty well in other places, but not quite like Raleigh. I know that every time I come home, I sort of appreciate this place a whole lot more. The air just, feels like home to me, and just the opportunity and just the love and just the whole thing is great. I've been working in hospitality since I've been about 14, 15 years old, starting in a managing position at 19. When I graduated high school, this is funny, that I was making a lot more money as a manager than people working underneath me, who did have college degrees. So I decided, okay, maybe won't do this right now. I didn't actually think I was going to go back to school at all. And then after working on hospitality and kind of figuring myself out, I wanted to go back to school, and I made a promise to myself and my mom, because she is a big part of this decision too. It was like,
Definitely.
I'm gonna go back to school for 3 things. One of 3 things: medicine, engineering, or law.
Okay.
And I ended up on law, so doing pre-law in political science, bachelor's. I'll be finishing up this year. So that has been a very nice experience of going back to. Funny enough, after I decided to go back to school, the Ukraine war started, and in my infinite wisdom and adventurous spirit, I decided I could help out there because I was sitting around waiting for school to start. I had a little bit of money saved up, and it was better than sitting around at home doing nothing. So I went and spent all of my money and a lot of time and volunteered over there doing a lot of different jobs, some of which being helping with refugee paperwork, others with medical like equipment, transportation, hostage extracts, training, a lot of different, there's a lot of different things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just because, you know, even though the war kind of is a long thing, goes slowly, every day was like new challenge, and, you know, you have a plan one day and the next day it would disappear like so quick, and you have to come up with something else really quickly.
Oh, wow.
So that was a really fun experience. And
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And being in Ukraine, did you see things, did you learn things that would even make you more dedicated to be mayor, right? To say, hey, you know what, I see some things over here and it makes me think about home where we could be better in certain situations or areas, or even where we feel like, you know, because sometimes I think we take things for granted, right?
Yeah.
And how blessed we are, even in Raleigh sometimes, right?
I think one of the things I did learn is that a lot of people take things for granted, and it's really, really interesting to see firsthand like how different your life could have gone if you were just born in another place another time. Because you know, when I was doing training, I met this kid who was about 19, and he was training to be a medic, and you know, he was a little taller than me, but you know, I just like kind of saw myself in him, and I was like, oh, like I am really lucky that I'm not the Ukrainian guy right now, because like if it could go completely different for me, and you know, just thinking about that and like all of my friends, is like how terrible and like hard that would be for, you know, just like my social circles like that. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. So like understanding that is like, okay, well, how do we like not get to this point, and how do we like even on a local like level, like how do we improve our lives so that it can be beautiful and prosperous for everybody, and you know, so we make, you know, we can have good things, but we also don't take it for granted. One of the things I kind of want to do with that is like on my website I talk about like farms for schools, and like kind of teaching younger generations like this is where food comes from. It doesn't come from the store, and we have to have that appreciation about there's people out there that dedicate their entire life to make sure that you are fed.
Right.
And so sort of pushing that gratitude to everything. You know, I'm infinitely grateful that I have the opportunity to work here, and I have a great job. My boss has been extremely generous and formative with me, and well, like having the opportunity to go to get a higher education, and not just for like my own personal growth, but I can like see myself in the future using that expertise and giving back as well. And you know, with that Ukraine trip, the best thing ever, I found a lovely girl that I am engaged to, and we'll be getting married sometime next year.
Congratulations.
So,
that's what's up. Yeah,
terrible decisions make for really great endings,
I know
apparently.
that's right. So you brought back more than a souvenir. I know that's right. That's what's up. That's the blessing, man. So we talked about James, and well, I know you've been in Raleigh your entire life, and I know you've seen a lot of changes. But why James, right? Why James for mayor?
Well, I think a lot of people are getting really disillusioned with politics. I think it's fair to say the 2020, like I was in high school during the 2016 election. I was in a civics and economics class. And so we kind of went through a lot of things and saw all of the, I'll just say like the culture war, like unfurling in front of us. And I was lucky enough to be in a space where it could be talked about mostly openly within the class. But when you kind of scale that out towards the school, it was kind of not a thing that you could do. They definitely thought went away, which is fine. It's just a little bit harder to go against that, which brought its own lessons in itself. And seeing that was like for myself and a lot of like young men like in the same situation where like we can't say our real opinion because we still want to have a social life, because it brought a lot of animosity and like internalized frustration and stuff like that. And that kind of got scaled up, and people would be like, why, like, you know, when people ask the question, like, why did Trump win? Like, Hillary Clinton was such a shoo-in. Like, well, you kind of forgot about a lot of people that don't speak up. Like, you know, and I feel like that hasn't really carried on too much. I think a lot of people are realizing, like, oh, this political system is kind of broken, and not in a way that I would like want to change it, but in the way that like parties or how they work and who they've pushed up. You know, you look at debates from with Nixon and Kennedy. It's very different than the one we saw a few weeks ago.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people are waking up to say that maybe this party stuff doesn't work for me. And I think the first outlet for that was, you know, Trump and Trumpism, whatever you want to call it. So like people would be like, this guy's not a Republican. He's not a party guy. He's just a rando that just kind of walked in like a bull in a China factory kind of situation. And that's kind of what people got attached to. And then I think now people are not less attached to like the man himself, but just the idea of like, we need something else, like, and to bring us back to sort of a normalcy kind of state. And what we see on a national level is not really happening, and that's kind of where I want to come in. I'm like, hey, I'm not a party person. I've never been registered under a party. When I went to go register, when I got my driver's license, I said independent as quick as I could.
Okay.
For me, like looking at politics, you can't always be like the Republicans always have the best answer or the Democrats always have the best answer.
Right.
You really have to be open enough to say that sometimes people who have a different, you know, letter next to their name, whether R or D, might have a good answer to this question, and being wise enough to accepting that. And I think a lot of people could get to that point soon, but I think the parties, like in the way that they structured, really hold that back. With the way that like, they push, like Republicans were pushing Trump again, which, whatever, I understand party politics, and then, you know, the Democrats were pushing Biden again, even though like everybody in America knew that maybe we could do with some better candidates. That was kind of their train of wanting, like, because they want to win. Like, it's not about, I want to help America. It was like, I want to be the other guy for them. And then people, like, normal people just kind of get left out, I guess. So.
Now, you speak about, like you said, the voiceless or the quiet people. When you're running for mayor or you become mayor, how do you plan to be that voice? Do you plan to be that voice for some of the voiceless or the people that's less heard or that don't have, and what would you say on their behalf?
I think that, you know, what we see in local politics, and, you know, I guess I'll just speak plainly, is that we have those like city advisory councils or citizen advisory councils around town, and I've been to a few of the meetings, and it's built up by a bunch of retirees, which is fine. They got time on their hands. They want to donate to you know, civic service, and I talk to them, and they're very open, like they're very accepting that I'm there because I'm the youngest person in the room every time, by a factor of like 40 years. And they're like, how do we like open it up to the young people? But, you know, opening up, when they start talking, it just shows that they are living in a very different place than I am, and like we just can't, like, meeting in the middle is going to be very, very difficult. And when I'm like outnumbered like 10-1, it's like it's going to be difficult to open up that dialogue and say, hey, like, a lot of people don't think this way. And so if you've seen any rezoning case, you see a lot of people within a particular neighborhood, they come out and they say, I don't want this affordable housing project in my area, but they want affordable housing in the city. And so it's sort of like the people who have time to speak up their voice get to really like put it in there, but the people who like, you know, have a job or have school or have 1,000 other things in their day-to-day life, and they're like, I can't afford rent, so I have to work 2 jobs. This affordable housing project would be really, really good for me. Like, sort of pushing that forward and be like, I speak for the people who literally have 0 time to come to this, because I know, like, I've been that person. Right? Like, I kind of still am that person right now, because I have a part-time job, a full-time job, and school, and all those other things, and yet I'm still like doing campaigning. So those people who have a day-to-day life that just, and they can't, they either because they're disillusioned, they don't want to be involved in politics, or they literally do not have the time to like have that input. They definitely need to be spoken for a lot more.
Yeah, because a lot of them just on the go, like you said, just trying to make ends meet, just trying to survive. Definitely can't take off during the day to go to a city council meeting at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, right? And like, you know, I was telling you earlier, I remember when I first moved to Raleigh in 1995, I stayed off of Glenwood Avenue, and I remember our apartment was $650. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And I think 2 years later, they went up to $750. And me and Ben went crazy. It was like, man, what are you doing? You're going up $750. I mean, now fast forward 20 years later, the average 2-bedroom, 2-bath is what, 18?
Yeah, that's about that much.
1,800. Yeah. So, and like you said, so when people that aren't as blessed financially, let's just say it like that, they don't have the time. They, you know, maybe they do have thoughts and ideas, and they definitely want to say some things, but they might not have the knowledge, as you know, referred to earlier, even how to, you know, go about the channels to say, hey, you know, how do I make my voice heard? How do I kind of put my input in? So it's definitely needed that, in a sense, someone needs to be a voice for the voiceless. So I definitely appreciate that. Right now, we're going to go to commercial break. We're going to go to commercial break, and I got a gift for you too. Speaking of commercial break, I actually got a gift for you.
I love the bag.
Thank you. This show is sponsored by the Shawn Ingram Collection. This is a gift from the Shawn Ingram Collection.
Do I open it up?
Yeah, go open it. Yeah. So we have a book, of course, and then also inside the bag is a T-shirt. I'll sign the book for you later.
At least you got it right here. Is that you or?
Yeah, that's me, but I'll actually sign it.
Okay. This is great. I have, you see, I have a lot of books. So.
Yeah, I know that.
There's a bigger bookshelf in the bedroom. Oh, you got my favorite color too. I love blue.
Man. So, and we'll go to commercial break, and we'll be right back with Mr. James Shaughnessy.
Yo, I'm here with Kid and Play, man, tonight. Y'all ready to do your thing?
Well, yeah, man. We stay ready, so we ain't got to get ready, baby.
Yo, man, we thank you. I appreciate this, man. We on air 247.
Hey, man, much love, man. Pray for your boy.
Thank you. Pray
this is how we do. We get lifted up so we can lift y'all up.
That's a fact, man. Shout out to you, man. Thank you.
We're back from commercial break. As we said before, this show is sponsored by the Shawn Ingram Collection, the brand of inspiration, so please support. Thank you, Play, of Kid and Play, for that commercial. We always appreciate you, so y'all make sure y'all check out Kid and Play's new podcast also, so definitely look them up. All right, James, so we're back. You know, we talked about a lot earlier about, you know, why you wanted to run for mayor, why James. So now my question to you is, 2 simple questions, and like you said, we're just gonna run into it. What problems do you feel that Raleigh has, or have you seen in the past? And what corrections or what solutions do you feel that you could bring to the table to make us a more thriving Raleigh, or safer Raleigh for our youth and our elders and everybody in between, more economical Raleigh, more business driven? I don't know if we need more people to come. I feel like we got, that's just my personal opinion. I feel like we get, people come every day. So wherever y'all at, we appreciate y'all, but y'all gonna stay where you are because traffic is getting out of hand. But seriously, like what, just a more thriving Raleigh. What are some of the problems, and then what are some of the solutions that you feel you could bring to the table?
I think there's 3 things. 3 biggest problems that we have is housing. I feel like that's not even just for Raleigh. I feel like that's just a national issue. Just mental health. They're like not for everybody. It's because it's been a lot more stressful, whether politically, financially, all these other pressures. I mean, I know a lot of kids, because I go to university, so like I meet with a lot of kids with different backgrounds, and they have a lot of time. They have a lot of struggles with just like facing like every day, and like it's really sad to see, because for me, like, I don't have this issue, so it's like I try to sympathize as much as I can, but like if there's that disconnect and I'm not like the best qualified person to deal with it. Like my family's had mental health problems. My sister has some mental issues as well, and she's like, we've worked together as a family to like help her get better. I mean, it's been a long, slow process, and I've dealt with my like issues with depression and stuff like that, and but mental health, like it's important. It's not like a fluffy thing.
Right. No, it's real.
Yeah, it's real. Despite what all the macho people try to tell you that it's not real, it's 100% real. And every soldier that I've met knows it's real. And I think like public safety in a large umbrella, and I'll kind of break that down. So housing, how do we fix that? I think what Raleigh can do really, really well is that since Raleigh isn't a centralized city, we are basically a bunch of like little neighborhoods spread out. If you look on a map, you can see that, and that's kind of how we've developed. We've been, because we were one of the later cities to grow up. A lot of the big initial push of people came in the 1960s with the Research Triangle Park and IBM and all these other large corporations coming down here, and that's kind of what built up Raleigh. Very car-centric culture, so it's not very centralized, which increases traffic now, but back then it was just a great and cheap and easy solution. Makes sense. But what we can do with this is, since we're like little pockets of retail and housing and commercial, is sort of condense those pockets into be self-contained, centralized sort of hamlets. And one thing I would really like to push forward is more mixed-use housing. I have like commercial or real estate, retail space underneath, and then above you have like a few floors of apartments, giving a good tax base of commercial business, but also like housing opportunities for people who will have a space to do their retail shopping, whether like a grocery store. One thing I hope to see in all these mixed-use communities is a place to buy food and drugs, the two big things that everybody needs. Reducing their time, reducing driving time, so that if you're on your way home from work, I'm gonna just stop and get a few things done. Giving the business a steady flow of customers, and making it a more cohesive community. And once you kind of build that community with coffee shops and the housing and all these other little things, you can put a bus station out front, so it's more connected to the public transit system, which is something that we definitely need to look at. And now that goes under public safety, and I'll explain why. The second thing is mental health. As I mentioned before, my family's had a lot of problems with that in the past, but I think it's just a wider thing, whether it is a culture thing, because people are struggling with politics or finances. I think finance is a big thing, and that stress of not being able to make ends meet and the rent prices going up, helping mitigate that and offering a better cohesive society. I think that Raleigh has a great park system, and the best way to deal with any mental health problems is to go outside and walk around and exercise. But actually, I'll say the best thing studies have proven is to dance. So,
well, I'm not
a dancer,
but I'm not a dancer.
I'll go outside.
Yeah, I'll go outside. Exercise.
I'll dance when nobody's looking. As well as like we see on like the streets of downtown, there's a lot of people who are homeless, and there's that struggle with their mental illness and addiction. And Dorothy Dix used to be open. It's no longer open, and we're kind of still suffering the wake of that those problems. And so I kind of want to go back and say, hey, there's still these people that need help, whether they have mental health problems and that's why they're on the street, or they have addiction, which is a mental health problem, but it's just a little different. Like we can, as a city, like as a public good, like reach out and help these people, and sort of lead that charge, and hopefully influence other cities to do the same thing. And that kind of rolls into public safety, because I know any young person who have gone to downtown, I know that they don't feel safe. My campus isn't downtown, and a lot of young women, even young men, don't feel comfortable completely, because we have had our bouts of people like homeless people coming in and accosting some of the students, and it's very uncomfortable. Even my fiance she works in a little shop, in the downtown area, and this homeless person kept coming in and being very aggressive, and the police weren't doing anything. And this person had arrest record already, and he was back on the street. And this person clearly needs mental help, but has also committed crimes. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? You can't put this person back on the street and expect it to go well. And talking to the officer dealing with it, they're like, I can't do anything. We're just trying to do a trespass so that they wouldn't come back anymore. And they're like, I can't do anything unless they're in the building. And so that sort of disconnect of them not being able to help makes it difficult to push forward. So I really want to open up a facility to help people like that, and say we will get you mental health professionals. We have a lot of great universities that focus in medicine. UNC is down the street, Duke as well, that can sort of facilitate and be a good learning experience for them to help out in the future, and maybe we'll finally get somewhere helping this homeless crisis that I know a lot of people see. As well as the other parts of public safety is we do not pay our police officers enough, or our firefighters enough, or our 911 operators enough. It is an absolute joke that you can go to any other surrounding department and get paid more. We're a capital city. We should be the highest paid in the state, no questions asked, and we should be attracting the best talent. And with the high price tag, there's going to be a high expectation, and I fully plan on keep making sure that expectation is known, because I have a lot of friends who are cops in multiple departments, and I joke, they joke around with me oh, they're going to be a lawyer, you got to be a prosecutor or a defense attorney, and it's it's why don't you do a good job, and if you're doing a bad job, you'll definitely know my opinion about it. And talking to them, they're like, I understand why we lose a lot of RPT guys to go to Cary or Wake Forest. They get paid more. That's it. That's it. So
I used to actually be on the police advisory board, and one of the shocking things that I've learned when I was a part of that board was, like you said, a lot of RPD truly can't even afford to live in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Right, because of the pay scale, or and so when we're talking about beating the community, right? That would mean the police would need to stay in a community, technically. So you're right. There's a lot of different barriers and obstacles, and that we would definitely have to overcome to keep good talent, like you said, to even attract good talent first and foremost, and then to keep good talent. So I 100% agree with you.
I met there's a few officers that come from out of state to go to the RPD Academy, and then they do their 3-year contract and then leave. So it's their kind of police college. That's how good our academy is, that we're attracting talent from all over the country to come in and take our police academy, but we can't keep.
That's kind of oxymoron, right?
What are we doing?
That's ironic, because it's we have a great police academy, but then the pay scale don't allow us to keep. And
a lot of I hear a lot of officers will go to the police academy as soon as they graduate, and no matter what their contract says, they'll drop and go somewhere else. I can't fault the officers for getting a better deal. I understand.
No, definitely not. When you have to take care of family,
but we just put hundreds of thousands of dollars into you as an investment. So there's definitely has to be something. And I know that those police departments that hired them definitely know that they got a contract with us. So we kind of have to open up that dialogue and say, hey, somebody owes us money, and it's probably that the police department that openly broke their contract, and get that money back somehow, or open up new agreements. We will train your guys. You can have them, but they need to be here for 3 years. So they get continued training, and a lot of people don't know this about our PD structure is that you'll finish the academy, but you'll still do certifications while you're on beat. So that first 3 years, you're still finishing like school. It's, you know, that a lot of people don't know about this. I just know because I have a lot of police officers who are friends. But, you know, like just understanding the struggles of like, they really want to help. They really do. They see like the problems on the street and they hear you guys. It's just when it gets above like to city council or to the DA, it's just not transferring. You know, council wants to get elected. DA wants to get a good record.
Right.
So that doesn't transfer to like the community. Like I want them to be safe. Like, so it's a very conflicting thing. You think it would all be like, hey, this is our job. We got to keep the community safe, but not really. And with that, like, you know, I talked about like transit being a public safety thing. Like a lot of people want to push public transit. A lot of people, like in the questionnaires that I answer, they ask about what are we going to do? Should we do light rail? And no. The answer is no. And I would love light rail, but we just don't have the culture for public transit yet. Like we have about, I mean, we're rounding up a little bit, 500,000 people that live in Raleigh. And we only had 4 million riders last year. That's like 2 people a day. Like the whole city, like that's not a lot. Like, you know, it's, and with cities, like usually they, like New York, like 70% of like all of their people like ride public transit, and even smaller cities like or like even around the world, like it's a lot higher than what it should be. And most people drive, and that causes traffic problems. So with that restructuring of like building these little pockets around Raleigh as like self-contained communities, it opens up the ability to plan a cohesive, you know, public transit system, and you know, makes a stronger community, hopefully. Yeah, one reason is why people don't ride the bus is because they feel unsafe riding the bus, and that's it. Like, I've ridden the bus, and you know, I feel like I'm a guy who can handle myself, but still, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna drive my car next time. I wish I could ride the bus more often, but like, cause I'm driving all over the place, like it's just it doesn't fit within my schedule. Right. So, and it takes forever to get anywhere. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. Like I think a lot of times when people think about safety, right? You know, one of my things is a safer tomorrow for our youth, you know, and for our elders. And like you said, when you're taking everything into account, going downtown, riding public transportation, you know, even going to the mall now, right? Yeah. Going to the movies. You know, my daughters are 13 and 18. And so every time they leave the house as a father, right, you know, coming from the streets, going through everything I've been through, going through prison, like you said, being a healthy, fit guy who feel like I could fight, it has no bearing on my defenseless children going out into this world. Yeah. And I'm sitting at home like this scared father, just waiting, sitting on the couch waiting for them to come back or text or looking at their location to make sure they're all right, you know. So it, like you said, regardless of your race, age, or whatever, I think we all want to feel safe. Even with me, you know, jumping out at stores sometimes, right? I'll jump out of my truck and like you said, you just look at the situation, you're like, you know what, let me go on down to the next store, right? And so, I mean, public safety is a very, very crucial situation to deal with at this time.
Yeah, you know? And offering more public transit offers more opportunity to people who, like, might have to do the opposite to, like, support their family. Like, I know that you struggle with that, so, like, if they had more opportunity, like, oh, I can get to a job, like, on the public transit, and I don't need to buy a car. Like, that is a big barrier for people in the cities. Like, they need a car, and look, that's just how we were designed. Like, it's not a good or bad thing. It's just a thing. So, like, if we could sort of remedy that, it would help a lot of people who are really working to get themselves back on their feet and trying to get a better life. Like, we could do something. We really could do a lot of good. Like, there's so much good work that we could do. I think the BRT is a good start of that, and I applaud the city council for doing that.
Now explain the BRT for those that may not understand.
BRT stands for Bus Rapid Transit. Is basically the plans are there's going to be 2 lines. There's going to be a east to west line that starts sort of at the hospital and goes basically all the way across to I think it's the university. So it's like connected basically down what's that street? Not New Hope. New Bern. It starts in New Bern and it goes basically all the way across. And there's going to be specialized bus stops so that they don't stop traffic. And they're very quick. Like they don't. The platforms are raised, so they don't have to bring the bus down. There's a whole bunch of plans behind it. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. And then there's going to be one north and south. I don't remember exactly where the stops are, but like. That's a good start, like to get from one side of the state to the other. It's just kind of we got to connect all of the gaps and looking at all of like the plan, the bus routes for Raleigh right now. You can kind of see where there's a lot of gaps. If you want to get anywhere, basically you got to go down into Moore Square. Which is not the best plan, and now with like Moore Square has like heightened security because they've had a lot of issues. Not just RPD, but private security as well. If the city needs to hire private security to keep their streets safe, like that is a telltale sign that something needs to change and needs to change a lot quicker. I mean, I've talked to the private security guys; they're great guys. They're really good. And I asked them why would you why didn't you become a cop? And they're just like, they don't really want to. Because it's a tough job. Like you get, for lack of excuse my French, you get shit on a lot. And I really considered being a police officer during 2020, and then 2020 happened. And I was just like, I really don't want to be in a bunch of riots and people throwing stuff at me and hated for no reason.
I think you got to be called. I think that's one of them teachers. I think no matter what the situation is, like you said, when you in a day out environment like that, and that's why I truly commend police officers. Apologize for every police officer that I called hell back in my younger days and before.
I still call them now.
Personally, it's cat and mouse, game. But no, like you said, for anybody that goes out and sacrifice and risk their life, and it's definitely be commended, like you said earlier, and to me, you definitely need to be rewarded for it, especially financially, right? And so I appreciate your thoughts on that.
But that sort of sacrifice of life, I feel like it's in so many different ways too. I volunteered to Ukraine. People why would you go risk your life? I'm like, because it was a good thing to do. You could have died. I'm like, I could have died. But a lot of people die every day. And giving up your life for something that is inherently good, or improving somebody else's life, just is a really good thing. And one thing that people are like, why are you running now? Because I'm a young man. Thank you. But it's because life is so short, and there's not enough. You don't know how many days you're gonna get. Why not try to focus on making a difference right now, and pushing that forward, which is why wait? There's no good reason to wait. So push it forward now. I know that a lot of young people kind of be like, oh, that's for later in life. I'm like, why? It's not. You could do it now. JFK was in his 40s when he ran. That's pretty young for presidents, but people see that as really, really old. That's millennials now. They're pushing 40 now, or so the younger generations, they're still nah, that's not for me, because that's what old people stuff. That's how we got into this crazy business, of people kind of feeling disenfranchised and stuff. We need to get younger people in there. Aristotle says that the world should be run by the middle class, but yet the middle class doesn't run because it's expensive. I'm barely middle class. I think the only reason for that is because I'm paying for school, so I don't make a lot of money, but I live comfortably, I'll say. So it beats sleeping on an iso mat every day.
True that.
But you know, it's like there's a lot of work to be done, and there's no excuse to wait until you're older. You know, people say, like people with B's, just saying that, you know, the young shouldn't do it, or they make a bunch of reasons, but you know, back in 1940, 41, like they called every 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-year-old, they called them all up and asked them to do the biggest sacrifice the world has ever seen, and they did it, and they did a really good job, and why can't they do that elsewhere?
So I got 2 more questions for you.
All right.
Last 2 questions. You know, I heard you speak about your mother earlier, and what is something that you would like to leave with the people, that you would like for people to know about you, or that Mama would like for people to know about her son? Hey, Mom, you know, what is something? Because I'm sure Mama said, that's my baby.
I make real good popcorn.
It's good. It's good too,
No, my mom will always make me want to make popcorn when I'm home. It's like, that's a really good question. What would my mom want to, like?
Because you know how, like,
people.
Yeah, because people always gonna look at you, and they're gonna look at you politically, and they're gonna look at you social media wise. And sometimes I just feel like people don't know the person. And then sometimes I think we don't, because I know me as an entertainer, I'm not gonna say certain things. But my grandmama, you know, if she was still here, she'd probably say, well, my baby this or my baby that. So I always try to think about that sometimes. So what's something?
I think one thing that you say is like, I don't run.
You don't run?
I don't run. Like, as in, like, I don't run away. Like, if I'm running towards the thing. I'm like getting it. I'm going towards to get it done. So
when you decide to go for the fight, you all in.
All in. You know, like when I started dating my fiance, I knew like instantly. I was like, I'm all in on this. Like so quickly. I was like, this is it. Like, and it took a little while to convince her, but yeah. But like that's something that I think that she's taught me. And people, you know, one of the questions like, why are you running? I was like, well, my mom gave me this one trait, which is very lovely, is actually giving a shit and then having the resolve to do something about it.
Right.
So, you know,
right.
That's mama for you.
That's what's up. And then the last question is just for those that don't know you, for those that say, hey man, I like what he's talking about. How can they support you, or how can they follow you and learn more about you?
If you go to Shaughnessy for you, that's my tag on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the things. It's also my website, ShaughnessyForYou.com, and on my website, like, feel free. I'm an open book. My email's on there. My phone number is on there. DM me, call me, text me with any questions if you want to learn more about me. And you know, I'm just completely open, honest, and transparent, and I want to be accessible.
Do you have any upcoming events that you're planning?
No, we had our kickoff event in July, which was really, really good. But we're like, me and my team were talking about like new events and like what we kind of want to do. Right now, it's a lot of canvassing. I did just move, so it was that was a little crazy. But now we're starting instead of like sit down and start talking out and reach out to people. I think we're going to be having a cookout. I think that's going to be the next one. I don't know when and where, but
okay.
I think.
Well, I'll definitely once you let me know, I'll let the people know.
All right, I appreciate that.
Hey man, I appreciate you being on Behind the Business, and I definitely enjoyed you. And like I said, man, just wish you the best of luck. Stay fighting. You know what I mean? That would be my advice for you. No matter what, we live in a world now. People want to tear you down more than they build you up. And so just a word of encouragement for you is that no matter, just know why you doing what you're doing, believe in you when nobody else does, and like you said, just stay in the fight and do what you know what needs to be done. And I appreciate you, man, and we wish you the best of luck. God bless, brother.
Thank you, sir.